Hello CAT participants around the world. Thank you very much for choosing to watch my presentation. My name is Tania Johnston, and over the next minutes, I'm going to tell you about some of the things that ESO Supernova implemented throughout the pandemic. Until late February last year, this was a fairly typical scene in the ESO Supernova. We'd been open since 2018 and we're doing quite well, welcoming around 5,000 visitors per month. And the planetarium shows were proving very popular, with about 80 to 90 people per show. And the centre was generally alive with chatter of all the different types of visitors. And then overnight, the scenes went from this to this. And we closed our doors thanks to the pandemic. We were one of the first visitor attractions in Germany to close our doors. And as such, we did face some negativity. But thankfully, our visitors were on the whole positive and optimistic about coming to visit us again. Little did we know that the pandemic would last for so long. We offered vouchers to the people who had bookings as a compensation such that they could visit us again when it was possible in the future. In doing that, it was, well, first of all, it was quite a stressful time. We had to deal with over 700 cancellations in the end and issuing these vouchers. But one silver lining that came out of that stressful period was that we were able to gather some data. Initially, we were posting vouchers to our visitors, and that meant we could get a snapshot of the geographical distribution of our visitors. So this chart here shows the individual bookings of over 300 people. So by that, I mean not just with schools or organised groups, but actually families, couples, groups of small groups of friends. And we can see from this that about 3/4 of our visitors were coming from quite close by, within 30 kilometres, but we were actually attracting around 1/4 of our visitors were coming from further afield. So that was the first sort of bonus of the corona times. Once the firefighting situation of dealing with the cancellations was over and we realised the pandemic was going to go on for some time and we weren't going to reopen our doors very quickly, like many other visitor attractions, we decided to focus on online engagement. We're a very small team at the ESO Supernova, and we had to think carefully about what we offered online. It had to be something which was sustainable also once we reopened. There was no point in us starting something that then we just couldn't continue once we were open again. It had to be a low effort. We were all working from home, so it had to be something that was easy to provide online without putting too much effort into it, and also low cost. With these requirements in mind, the objectives we set were to maintain engagement with existing audiences. By that, I mean existing audiences on Facebook. We had around 6,000 followers on Facebook and about 7,000 newsletter subscribers. And for us, it was more important that we keep providing content for those already engaged people, more than use this as an opportunity to broaden our audiences. Of course, it would be a bonus if we did attract new people, but for us, it was more important to keep these people engaged. And with that in mind, the content we wanted to produce, we wanted to make sure that we were giving something that was as close to the experience visitors could expect at the ESO Supernova. We're very proud that the visitors often comment on how friendly and approachable our team are and the nice interactions they have with our team. And so we wanted to make sure that whatever we were providing online was also giving that same sort of feeling to the engaged people. So our social media manager came up with a campaign on our Facebook page initially, which was one of thematic weeks. And this was that we would guide our visitors through our exhibition on our Facebook page. Now, the way that ESO Supernova was created was that we wanted to make sure we shared everything as much as possible. And that in itself was a benefit at this time because it meant that all of our content of the exhibition was already online. So in these thematic week posts, we could link directly to content from the exhibition. So we really could take the followers through our exhibition. In addition to that, our presenter, Toby, started to make short video clips. This was quite a challenge, obviously, because he was doing it from home, he was on his own. It's not something that he'd been trained in doing in the past. And presenting for a virtual audience is quite different from presenting to an audience on site. But Toby created these short videos, which again, the idea was to give the visitors and the viewers the same sort of feeling that they would encounter at the ESO Supernova, so the similar sort of interactions they would have with our team. And then, no point in reinventing the wheel. There are hundreds of fantastic resources already out there. And so we wanted to also link to some of these resources to give our followers some activities that parents could do with kids when they're homeschooling, or teachers could maybe do, so low cost, easy activities that people could do during the time of the pandemic to maintain engagement with astronomy. We focused on Facebook for quite some time, and then we decided to try to broaden things out, and we started to make use of our YouTube channel. The YouTube channel had existed for quite some time before then, but we'd never really used it. So it really started to come to life in December last year. Toby continued making the short video clips that we populated the YouTube channel with. But another thing we added in were virtual tours, so live virtual tours through the ESO Supernova. The online engagement has been challenging for many reasons. We didn't have a huge amount of engagement through it. The majority of the people that follow us, they want to come and visit us. They want to come to the ESO Supernova. So whilst I'm not too disappointed about the levels of engagement, obviously the motivation levels, it's hard to keep the motivation going when you're not maybe getting huge numbers of views. So what did we do when we did reopen? Well, we had to carefully consider all of the safety regulations that were enforced by local and national governments, also taking into account the health and safety regulations at ESO itself. We were able to reopen, and we introduced timed bookable slots to visit the exhibition, something we didn't have in the past, to limit the number of people on site at any one time. We introduced one-way systems. We had lots of signage up to remind people of the things that they should be observing. And one thing that we were able to do, which is possibly a little bit different from other places, is that we could add in an extra level of sort of safety. And again, because our exhibition content is already online, we were able to reduce the number of contact surfaces quite significantly. We have a large number of touch screens, and for all of these touch screens, the content is already there on our website. And so we were able to cover the touch screens and just have a QR code that visitors could scan and thereby access the content on their own mobile devices. And an unexpected bonus of this was, again, data. Because of these QR codes, we could actually track the way visitors are actually engaging with our exhibition to some extent. This is not something that we'd done before. We didn't have any sort of observation techniques in place to see, okay, how long are people looking at particular stations? But because of the QR codes, we could actually record how many times people were scanning the QR codes, were there stations that they weren't scanning, were there stations that were particularly popular, and thereby we could see if there were some patterns that we could use in terms of thinking about future generations of the exhibition. Moving forward, there's lots of things that have been positive from this virus, this pandemic. For example, the virtual tours. Now that we've done the virtual tours, there's no reason why we can't do live virtual tours also moving into the future. They provide an excellent opportunity to give people a bit of a flavour of the ESO Supernova before they've visited or after they've visited, or for those who can't actually come and visit us. So we'll continue to do the live virtual tours. In addition to that, particularly while we're not able to offer on-site guided tours, because of the videos that Toby's been creating, what we can do is to offer like an on-site virtual tour, again with QR codes linking to the videos on YouTube at certain stations within the exhibition. So people can have that sort of experience of interacting with our people without the worry of the close contact with people. The other thing we could look into in the future, and probably will do, is the possibility of future hybrid events, whereby live events with people on site are also filmed and streamed. And one of the biggest things for me that I've learned through this is to look into better ways of gathering data easily, using our exhibition, using QR codes, using metrics that we can easily gather in the exhibition. Thank you very much for your time. I'd be very happy to take any questions you might have.